Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Trading Together. I'm Mel Gacee, and today is New Year's Eve, everyone. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Here we are at the end of the year. I really cannot believe it. I say it almost every week. Can you believe we're at Christmas? Can you believe we're at Thanksgiving? But honestly, here we are at 2026, and I am just shocked. How are we? How are we here? That is crazy. But welcome, welcome, and happy New Year, every single one of you. I am going to jump right in this morning with a call. So give me just a second here, and then we'll go into market analysis. All right, let's take a look. This is a little counter to the trend right now, but I like the motion at this moment. So let's see if we get this to go in our direction. And in complete transparency, I did take a stop out yesterday on that trade. So that one did get stopped out. I'm okay with that. I did close the day negative yesterday, but I'm okay with that too, because we do have those days. I don't stress too much about them. And I don't really stress much about taking a stop loss either. It's part of trading and it has to be done. And nobody likes it, but it is how it works, right? Okay, looks like Inner Joy is here. Good morning, Inner Joy. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Gavilan is here. Good morning. Good to see you. And Inner Joy saying Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too. I wish everybody here all the best of 2026. Life, love, prosperity, all of it. All right, coming back down. Would not like to have to stop out again, but it happens. All right, hope you get rich. Same for you. I hope every single one of us has a prosperous, wealthy 2026. I absolutely do. All right, just watching this trade here. Basically, we've been kind of just dumping since the open. So I'm looking for a little bit of a reversal here at the bottom. I don't always trade reversal trades. Um, usually I prefer to trade with the trend, but occasionally if a setup presents itself, and this one looked good, I will take it. So let's see if we can continue up here, or this is going to drag back down again. If it does, I'm just going to have to take a stop out, and that's the way that cookie crumbles, right? All right. So yeah, you can see that we've been pretty much coming down from the open. Little pump here, down, little pump here, down, little baby pump here, hopefully not back down. Let's see if we can keep this moving up a little bit. Let's go just a little bit higher. That would be great. All right. Need a little push right here up through the 20. Nothing yet. And we came under this moving average. So we need to reclaim that and push up through this 20. So this yellow line right here is the 20 period moving average. And we really haven't been able to hold that today, as you can see. From the very open, we've been under the 20, popped over it, came under, popped over it, came under. And so far, we have not come up over it yet on this move. So that would be a nice change of direction if we could come up and beat that 20. If not, if we come back down here to the bottom and make a lower low, I will go ahead and stop out. And again, you hate to have them, you know, but it is part of trading. And the sooner you learn to take your stops, take your lumps, as it were, the better it'll be for you as a trader. Honest truth. Honest truth. All right. There we go. There's a nice little move. Let's keep that going there. That's great. Pushing to the 20. Let's just push over it, guys. You can do it. Nope, little rejection right there off the 20. And again, with this being a counter trend trade, it's a little higher risk. Moving with the trend is usually safer. So we hit a low here at 684 on the SPY. One good little push there. Come on, guys. Dropping back down again under the moving average. We don't want that. See if we can pull up through it. Kind of got a little reaction here and then a little move up and then just kind of sideways here, making a little baby top right here. Right here, you can see it on both charts. Let's get another push up through that 20. That's better, a little better. If we can't beat this top here, I might just take a break-even trade. So let's see what happens. Let's push up through the 20. There we go. That's a nice little push up. Baby one. Come on, keep going. Here we go. There we go. Little close over the 20 there. Let's see if it pushes a bit more. It's just really having trouble today on any kind of upward moves. All right, I'm going to take a break even here. The price action is not, I'm not loving it. So I'm out. It's like, it was like down 2%, but basically a break even. I don't like how it's responding here at the 20. So I'm going to get out. All right. So of course it'll probably turn and go up. I'm okay with that. I can take a break even. That's no big deal. So let's talk a little bit about what the charts are looking like this morning. We're definitely, like I said, we opened up with a move down, and we've been pretty much moving down all morning. Now we've got the VIX kind of doing this lower, these higher lows here. So do you see this little bottom kind of rising on the VIX? So VIX, but kind of keeping a top here. So it looks a bit like a rising wedge, just a little bit like a rising wedge. And remember, when the VIX is going up, the market's coming down. So today, the VIX has been kind of, like I said, making that rising wedge on the bottom. On the top, it's been, this high is a little higher than this one, but not by much. And there it pushes. Okay, that's super cute, guys. So when the VIX, again, is moving upwards, we're seeing the market come down. The VIX stands for the volatility index. It measures fear in the market. So as we see the VIX moving up, we see the market coming down, and that's what we've seen all day today. Okay, here we go, back under the 20. So see what I was saying? It's really struggling right here to beat and hold the 20. That's why I jumped out at a break even. And I'll try again later with a better setup. Don't be afraid to take a break even or a small loss. If the price isn't doing what you think it needs to do, don't be afraid to take those break evens. You don't have to hold on to those trades. It's not necessary, especially if it's a break even or a tiny 1-2% loss. That's nothing. Take those if you don't like the way price is behaving. And I don't. Look at this. It's just not behaving the way I'd like to see it on a strong upward move. Now, it doesn't mean it won't turn and go up, but because of the fact that it was a counter trend move, we've been coming down all day, and I took calls that was counter to the trend. And then I saw the price just being very not committed, let's say. That's why I took the break even. And that's, for me, that's completely okay. That doesn't bother me a bit. Here's this one great trader said, you can be wrong, you just can't stay wrong in trading. And that's the truth. You can be wrong, but you can't stay wrong. If you stay wrong, you're going to lose money, and that's not going to work. You're not going to be profitable in the long run. All right, little push again over the 20. Let's see if they can hold it this time. I think we might be building a short-term bottom here. Right here at 684 on the SPY. And I think we could get an upward turn today. So I am sort of looking for that, but it's going to have to give us a little more oomph than this. This is not giving us anything right now. Just flat, really. It's just flat. Okay, let's zoom out and take a look at our daily charts. We'll take a look at the SPX and what that looks like on the daily. And you'll see that we're making a third red candle out of 4 days. So here is our daily chart. Remember, we had an all-time high sitting at October 29th for the longest time. We came down, came up, rolled over a little bit, came up again, made a new all-time high. And remember, that was Christmas Eve. We got that all-time high, right? Was that Christmas Eve? No, well, we hit the all-time high on Christmas Eve, and then a new high on the 26th, the day after Christmas. So 2 highs in a row there. But then, of course, we rolled over, which is, it's really natural. That happens at highs. We see it happen all the time. We hit the high here, we rolled over, we hit, this was a kind of a lower high, but rolled over, new high, rolled over. It's not unusual, it happens. So right now, that's the chart we're getting. It's a red candle, it's negative. We're down about 23 points from the open. So like I said, the trend is down today. Now, it is the last trading day of the year, so I do kind of half expect some kind of a push into the end of day. I think that's very possible, but it doesn't have to happen. So we'll watch and see. Here's the thing. One of my mottos is trade like water, right? We can have our bias, we can analyze the charts, but we cannot let our bias blind us. And oops, we are getting a push here. Let me get over here. Excuse me. All right. I might try these calls one more time here. Now that we're getting a bit of a push, let's give that another try. I'm just double checking the chart before I do that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and try those calls one more time. I'm in. And this time we're already green. This is how you want the price to move, hopefully. Hopefully. Should be making a run here for this overnight low. Let's see if we can get that push up there. Nice push, nice push. We need to recover that overnight low. Let's see if we can grab that. There we go. I'm going to get out right here, punch it. That was 5%, but it might have ticked away from me. That was a bit of a big red drop there. So I'm not quite, let me double check that. It might have ticked away from me when I jumped out. I got a baby win. I got, what is that? Like 2-3%. So that's all right. That's all right. We'll wait for another one. What it did is it came up here and almost tagged this overnight low and then rejected. All right. So little tiny win on that one and basically a little tiny loss on the previous one. So right now we're break even on the stream. All right. And that's a rejection. So let's take a look here. We'll back out again and look at this chart. Again, it's been very negative today. So here's our open. We were really pushing, let me say it this way. All night, we were really down negative, not super hard, but we were negative all night. And then right before the open, we kind of got this push up to the overnight high. And then right in here at about 9 Eastern, right before the market opened, it started the drop. And it dropped all the way down through yesterday's low of day, through overnight low, dropped all the way down here to 684 on this SPY. And then we got a bit of a bottom. So that's what I've been trading right here, is this looks like what's a bit of a bottom. So those last 2 trades that you saw me take were this bounce here. And again, I haven't made anything on it yet, just a little teeny win on that last one, little baby loss on the one before. So break even. That's okay. I'm patient. So what I'm looking for here is potentially, like I said, even though we look at this daily and we can see we are rolling over, but it is the last day of the year. It is possible to get a run up. So that is kind of what I'm looking for and watching for. We do need to reclaim this overnight low. So on my charts, I'm keeping a few lines here, right? So I keep the overnight high and low, and I mark those every day. That's part of my pre-market open ritual. I mark the high of day from yesterday, the low of day from yesterday, or Friday, as it were, the overnight high, the overnight low. I mark those, and then I mark the opening range. So that's what all of these lines mean. So the yellows are overnight. These two yellow bars are overnight high, overnight low. These two blue bars are high of day yesterday, low of day yesterday. And these two green bars are current opening range high, opening range low. Those are the bars that I mark off. And then occasionally I'll mark off areas of interest. So we do have an area of interest overhead at 691, and that's where I see unusual action or unusual behavior pre-market, and I will mark those off because a lot of times when we get unusual behavior before, overnight or pre-market, a lot of times we'll come back and visit those areas. So I always mark those off as well. On the SPX chart, as you can see, I've got tons of support levels marked here, and it's very quite busy. But these are levels that I have built as we have moved up and down through these ranges. And I've got all of these levels on here that they all mean something, believe it or not. They all mean something. They've all been support or resistance in previous moves. And so I keep those because what are the odds that we're going to come down here and revisit this? Well, they're pretty good. I think in 2026, we could see a pullback in the market. I think we will see a pullback in the market. So I keep these on here for weeks and months because as we come down and revisit these areas, these lines are going to come into play again. All right. So even though they're messy to look at, they do have their purpose. All right. So how do we trade this today? What I'm looking for is a recapture here of this overnight low. And the next thing I'm looking for is a recapture of this VWAP. So remember the VWAP is the volume weighted average price. There we go. Here we're recapturing the overnight. If we recapture this, I might jump into another quick call. Let's see what we get. All right, I'm going to go ahead and try another call here. I'm in. All right, little push up over so far. Let's keep that momentum going. All right, I'm just a little bit green right now. There we go. Nice. All right, I'm going to jump out here with a 3% win. It's not much, but like I said, I'm taking tiny wins today. Let's see if we can get a test of this VWAP here. And what I'd like to see, if it gives us a chance, is a little bit of a pullback so we could take another leg up. But it looks to me like it may just make a run straight for the VWAP. Let's see what we get. We got to beat this most recent high, which is kind of sitting right at the VWAP. So that's our next target. It would be nice if we could get a little pullback and then a move up, but I don't know that we'll get that. So we'll see. All right, a little bit of a pullback here. 1 bar. Let's zoom in on that. We did recapture the 20, so that's what we were fighting with over here. Remember, that's where I pulled out at a break even. And then we did recapture and move up. But now we're getting a little bit of a pullback. That's okay. That's how the market moves. It never really goes in any one direction in a straight line. You always get the zigzags. You can count on it. All right, so looking at our VIX down here, let's see what VIX is telling us. VIX is coming down a bit. So let's zoom out a little bit and see what VIX has been doing today. Again, what we were talking about earlier was this rising bottom. Well, we just broke that. So a lot of times these wedges, like I had described earlier, we were looking at maybe a rising wedge here with this bottom rising and the top mostly flat. A lot of times those can break. They can break to the downside. So we did get that. And now we're getting a tiny bounce here. So that is equating to this little drop. So, but by and large, you can see what the VIX is doing. It's really just ranging, right? Up, down, up, down, up, down. It's really ranging. And so what that tells me is we may not be quite as committed to this drop as it looks like, right? If you look at the VIX and then you look at the SPY, they look a little different to me. And usually you can take the VIX and you can invert it, flip it upside down and lay it over the SPY and it's going to look pretty similar. But today they look just a little different. And the main difference is this top here where the SPY has kind of continued to make lower lows, The VIX really didn't make higher highs. This one's a teeny bit higher, but it really didn't. It's it's almost a triple top looking uh, pattern, right? So where the SPY here, we've got lower low, lower low, lower low. You would expect to see the VIX higher high, higher high, higher high. We don't really see that. Like I said, we do have a bitty higher high here, but this is a little bit lower high, and this is just a teensy bit higher high. So like I said, almost a triple top. Triple tops can be bearish patterns. So if we see a bearish pattern setting up on the VIX, we could infer maybe the VIX might be fixing to drop. And if it is, the market might be fixing to push upwards. And I think that's really possible on on New Year's Eve, on the last trading day of the year. I think that's really possible that we get some kind of a run up today. But we'll see. We'll see. It doesn't have to happen that way. The other thing I like to look at is over here on the options chart. I like to look at the volumes. So I have Thinkorswim as my platform. And on my options chart, I have my options chart set up to show volume, open interest, delta, gamma. Those are the things I'm interested in. The volume tells you how many traders are taking this particular strike. So remember, the strikes are how we basically label the options. The strikes are where we want the underlying to be when we buy this option. So right now, SPY is trading at 684.8. The money is 685. So the 685 puts are in the money, the 684 calls are in the money, and that's exactly where I trade, is the first option in the money. But I also take a look at these volumes. So look here, volume says how many traders are buying this, have bought this so far today. Volume doesn't go backwards, but it's how many have bought this so far today. And I look at the combination between the puts and the calls, and I try to gauge, is there one side that's really kind of beating the other side in terms of volume? Is there just a ton of volume or a volume imbalance on the sides? And a lot of times there is. Today, we're pretty fairly balanced. So we've got 254,000 volume sitting at the 685 puts, and we have 246,000 volumes sitting at the 686 calls. Those are really close. And then the next ones, we've got 187,000, 130,000, 167,000. Over here, we've got 170, 206, 160. So very, very evenly balanced. So not seeing a super heavy difference between the sides. So that also tells us either we're going to kind of stay where we are a little bit and range a little bit before we make a move in another direction. And I think we could see a move today. Could we just range today? Yeah, we could. But I think we could see a move today. That's kind of what I'm expecting. So the other thing I look at here is open interest. So where volume says, these are all the traders that have taken this trade today at this strike. Open interest says, as of last night, because it gets updated once per day in the evening time or the early morning, the open interest says how many traders are actually holding this position as of last night. So this is not a dynamic number. This is only a snapshot of what people were doing as of last night. So that's something that we have to be aware of, is that as of yesterday, this many people were holding these options, and this many people were holding the options on the put side. So that's the other thing I like to look at. Where is the open interest? We've got a highest open interest on the call side sitting at 690. That's been a pretty popular strike. It's been a magnet for a while. The highest open interest on the put side is at 680, and it's higher. It is higher than our call side. So that is something to be aware of. All right, getting another little push here up through this overnight. I might try to take another little call here. Let's see what we get. And if you guys have any comments or questions, I want you to know I am I'm not just open to them, I love them. So if you want to drop questions or comments in the chat, I love to answer those. I love to interact with you. I love to get to know you. So please feel free to drop your questions and your comments. There is no such thing as a dumb question. I really want to help all traders of all levels, but especially new traders to get their feet on the ground when it comes to trading. So please feel free to drop your questions in there, and I am happy to answer those as best I can. We're sort of pushing over this overnight low. Let's see if we get some commitments to the upside. Like I said, I want to see a test of this VWAP. I might go ahead and try this call here. Let's see what we do. We've got a little baby top right here that we need to beat. A little bit of a lower low on the VIX, just a little one, nothing big. I'm not in yet. I'm just kind of looking at it. And I'm sorry, my screen has the order. I should place the order on my other screen. All right, no trade yet. I'm just going to watch this for a second. We're getting a little red candle here. No trade. And while I'm waiting here, we can talk a little bit about the leaderboard and how I use that. That's what I call my watch list. I call it the leaderboard. How do I use that to make decisions? In my overview of the direction for today, I use it as you've heard me talk about the Magnificent Seven. So I track those big mega tech stocks that you've all heard of: Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, Google, Tesla, Nvidia, also Broadcom. I use it to track those. I also use it to track the major indices. So I track the Russell, the Dow, the NASDAQ, and of course the S&P, which I trade. I also track the futures on all of those indices. So that would be the NQ, the YM for the Dow, the ES for the S&P 500, and the RTY for the Russell. So I'm tracking the futures, and usually the futures I'm looking at after hours. Real-time hours, I'm looking at the index itself, or the ETF over the index. So those are the things I'm tracking. I also have the advanced decliners on my watch list and a couple of things like that. The put call ratio I keep up there. So a few things that I just kind of I'm trying to gauge market breadth, and that's what I use the watch list for. And so on a day like today, you can see what's the leaderboard look like. Well, it's all red, isn't it? Okay, we're coming back down here. We could consider puts. Remember, calls are for when the market is going up. Puts are for when the market is coming down. We can make money both ways. That's the beauty of options trading. Let's see if we can beat this little recent bottom here. If we can, we could consider puts here. Inner Joy, great question. I love that. Asking if the open interest is imbalanced, which side is supposed to trend? And that is a great question. We would assume the side with the heavier open interest would be the side that would trend. But remember, it's a snapshot of last night. So they could have moved their positions, a lot of them today, a lot of those people that were holding that strike and that option could have moved their position today. We don't know that. It only gives us a snapshot as to what they were thinking yesterday. But we could expect possibly that where the open interest is heaviest, we might trend to that side. And as we saw together, the open interest was heaviest on the put side. And of course, we have been trending down most of the day. We're just now over the last hour getting this tiny little climb here. So no put yet. We're not really dropping. We have this little temporary bottom right here that we haven't come down through. We're right on the 20. And here's a little thing to be aware of. When we look at these moving averages, look at all these moving averages that I have on the chart. When you see them kind of fanning out like this, that tells you that, all right, we're looking at a trend. When you see them start to all jumble up on top of each other like they're doing here, that tells you we could be forming a range. And ranges are kryptonite to the day trader, at least to me they are. I don't like to trade the ranges. Usually that's where you get chopped up. So you buy you buy a call and then it drops and it goes against you. So then you buy a put and it rises and it goes against you. And it's a very vicious cycle. If you try to trade range, it's what they call getting chopped up, and you will chop up your account if you try to trade too many ranges. So usually I'm aware and looking for ranges. And one of the signals that we could be in a range is when we get these moving averages all jumbled up on top of each other. So let me zoom out and I'll show you how we'd like to see them. We like to see them like this. Look at how beautiful that is. They're all fanned out. And what is this telling us? This is telling us this is a downward trend, and it's a strong trend. These moving averages are all fanning out. So this is the 200, this is the 100, this is the 50, the yellow is the 20, the green is the 9, and the pink is the 3. So they've really, if you look at it, they've really been fanned out all day. For the most part, they've all been fanned out and moving downward. Just now, we are starting to change that trajectory. So now the 20 is curling up, the 50 is curling up, the 100 is just starting to sort of maybe flatten out. But here, if you zoom out, you can see this little rangy up and down movement. And if you zoom in, you'll see that those beautiful fanned out moving averages are now on top of each other. Look at them, just do, 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 do. So you don't want to see that. You want to see those moving averages fanning out, telling you this is a strong direction. All right. So looking like a potential put right here. Let's see again if we can beat this bottom. If we do, I might join the put. But if we don't, I'm going to wait because, again, this could be ranging. Yeah, no drop through the bottom yet. And it's tried twice to recapture this overnight low, and it's failed both times. So that's noteworthy, right? We could not hold this both times that we tried to recover it. We rejected off the 100 right here. That green one right there, that's the 100 period moving average. So with that in mind, this could be coming back down, but we need to see it beat this bottom. And it looks like it's trying. I'm going to load up puts here. And I'm going to load up 685 puts. Those are the first ones at the money, in the money. But I'm not going to get in yet because we haven't beat this bottom. Beaten. All right, I'm going to move my VIX a little bit left so you can see it better, so my face isn't in the way. Yep, just sideways right now. That's what I'm seeing. That's okay. We'll have to be patient. So now what I want to see, since we've rejected off the 100 twice, is for a continuation of this move. Instead of just seeing it break the overnight low, I want to see it break the 100 because that's where it rejected here and here. So let's watch and see if we can get that. So we need to break the 100 to the upside. We need to break this little temporary bottom to the downside. And anything in between is range, and we're going to have to wait. And that's really important. As you guys know, I always say 90% of trading is waiting. It's very, very patient. Trading is patient. And the VIX is trying to give us some lower lows here. Great question, Gavilan. Is the hull the best way to read the moving average? It is one of the best moving averages. I really like it. I have it on almost every chart. And it's a different, okay, we're getting a little push here, and we're getting some lower lows on the VIX. I'm going to pivot back over to calls, 684s. And I'm just going to watch for a break here. And I will get to your whole question in just 1 second, Gavilan. All right. I'm going to take the call here. I'm in. Little pullback here. Let's see if we can turn and push again. I'm just barely green here by about 2%. And again, price action has been tricky today, that's for sure. Just going to give this a minute and see if we can push back up here. I'm just flat right now in my profit. It should come up and retest this VWAP, but it's been awful slow on the price action today to do anything. It's been moving slowly, that's for sure. Okay, here's a nice little push. I'm back green again. Need to push right over this little top right here, this one, right there. Let's see if we can get that. Here we go. Come on now, let's go. Okay, nice, nice. Toppy again. There we go, there we go. All right, I'm up 5%. I'm going to take it here. I'm out. That was nice. So now we've gone from break even to up a bit today. That's great. Again, I expected to come and test the VWAP here, but I'm taking quick short profit today. Part of the thing that I noticed that made me take this trade is the VIX continuing to drop here. So when I got in somewhere over here, the VIX was making another low right over here. And so that was part of the decision for me to go ahead and take that trade. I wanted to recover the 100, and I think I jumped in just before that happened. All right, here we go up to the VWAP. So getting a nice little recovery here today. And let's get to your question, Gavilan, about the whole moving average. It is, like I said, my favorite. Maybe the VWAP is also a form of a moving average. So between the VWAP and the whole, those are really, I really like those averages. So The VWAP is slow. It's a slow moving average, very slow sloping. It's not going anywhere too fast because it's a much longer average. But the hull, that's this one right here that it's hopefully I can highlight. Let me make this screen bigger, this window. All right. So this moving average right here, I made it thicker. It turns from turquoise to magenta as it moves up and down, and it's a very fast moving average. In other words, meaning it follows the price. So you can see the hull, it's HULL. It's a kind of a formulated moving average, right? And as it senses we're moving up, it turns the line turquoise. And as it senses we're moving down, it turns the line magenta. For the most part, it's really good. You do get these little false signals here. There we are, reaching the VWAP, just like I thought. There we go. The test will be at the VWAP here. If we can recover the VWAP and move up again, I might grab another call. So there'll be a test here at the VWAP. Usually there is. Anyway, the hull can give you these little falses here, like this one. It turns magenta and it looks like we could be moving down, but then nope, it turns back up turquoise again. So it does have these false signals that it gives you, but by and large, it's really good. It's really good. You can see how closely it follows the price, and yet it still is giving us a pretty good representation of direction, which I really like about the hull. So you can't trade just with the hull by itself, but you can use it as a confirmation, or you can use other indicators with it to create confirmations, such as the MACD. So if you've got a MACD cross, for example, we've got a MACD cross right here. You see it? It goes from red to green, and we have a hull cross from magenta to turquoise. That can be a good entry. So here we get that turn, and boom, we've got a nice run up here that's been going on for an hour, right? So pretty good, right? Is that an hour? 10:58, 11, 2 hours? My chart is in Eastern time. So 1 hour, 1 hour. So yeah, that is why, that's one of the reasons why I really like the hull. So you, again, if you're using it in conjunction with other indicators, it can be really accurate. So here we get the MACD cross. The hull is crossed back here already, but if we used it together with the MACD, we could have gotten in here onto these puts, and boom, that's a nice move. So that's a kind of a quick overview of the hull and how I use it. But great question, Gavilan. Thank you for asking it. I'm going to watch. We're coming up to the end of the stream, but I'm going to, as I say goodbye, I'm just going to let you know what I'm looking for the rest of the day. If we pull up over this VWAP and really capture it decisively, I'll jump into another call. I think we could be wanting to turn this around today, so we'll see if we do. And I'm still watching the VIX as well. But I do want to say Happy New Year, and thank you guys so much for joining me. I really appreciate you. I love meeting you and talking with you, and I really appreciate that you're here. So I really wish you all a very merry, prosperous, healthy, happy New Year with your loved ones and your friends. Don't forget what's important in life. Trading it's my jam, right? It's what I do, but what's important in life is who we love and who we give to, and who also gives to us. That's really, really important. So enjoy your new year, and we will be back again in 2026 at 9 a.m. Mountain. We'll be back on Friday. We're going to take a day off tomorrow and just enjoy our lives, and we'll be back on Friday, and I hope to see you there. And Gavilan, thank you. Been in the call for about 30 minutes. Nice. Okay. Well, I hope it's up nicely for you. I was taking my wins really quick, as you saw. but good for you. I'm sure you're up nicely on that call. All right. Well, we will be back again, like I said, on Friday. Such a pleasure to be here with you. And I'll talk to you soon. Happy New Year, everyone. And Gavilan saying, appreciate your teaching. Thank you. Thanks for saying that. And I love doing it. So, all right. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.